if I'm elected president, you're going to see the single most important thing that changes in America is we're going to cure cancer. You think I'm...
We'll give Joe a break on that one. Cancer cannot have a single cure. It's far too complex for that, for a number of reasons. One of those reasons is that cancers evolve. Not only do cancers evolve, but they may propagate into a number of evolutionary lineages. Think of Eevee rather than Charmander. I'm Dr. Krutik Patel, PhD, and in this week's Scientific Journal Club, we will discuss why tumor heterogeneity is a pain in the backside for patients and scientists. Firstly, let's get back to basic biology. And yes, I made these images on PowerPoint. Let's start with this segment of tissue. And we should add some blood supply, so our tissue doesn't suffer from ischemia. Over time, the cells will accumulate mutations. Most of these mutations will be passenger mutations and will cause no or little effect to the health of the cells. However, over time, driver mutations will arise, and I'll describe these in more detail in a bit. For now, we see some natural killer cells entering our tissue via the lymphatic system. They spot some cells which have served their purpose or are showing concerning signatures and so must be eliminated. I should mention, our bodies are usually very good at detecting and dealing with aberrant cells. However, eventually a cell will come around with a driver mutation, and these will start multiplying. These cells may possess abilities to hide from our body's natural defenses, and over time, they will multiply and multiply. We see in Jackerman et al. A number of different mutations causing cancerous consequences, and this is just a snapshot of the complexity which is not even the tip of the iceberg when we are discussing the genetic roots of cancer. One question you might be asking yourselves, what is a driver mutation? Well, that's a really good question, and we're going to answer that next. This is a great time to establish one of my favorite principles in molecular biology. DNA makes RNA makes protein. This is not entirely accurate, but let's keep things simple for now. A mutation can occur in the DNA, which will be transcribed into the RNA, and this will translate to an altered protein product. This can resolve in a number of different ways the driver mutations can manifest. For example, a normally functioning ligand, sort of like a receiver for external signals, which would normally promote natural killer cells to do their job, might have its shape deviated from the protein aberration. Hence, it can no longer attract the natural killer cells, and the cell which the ligand belongs to will survive longer. Another mutation could lead to a protein required to migrate to a specific part of the cell to trigger apoptosis or cellular repair to forget its destination. These proteins can accumulate elsewhere and no longer perform their regulatory function. A final example I'll give here shows ligands which attract and bind to growth hormones. Normal function puts strict controls on the number of ligands which are active or inactive. However, an unfortunate mutation could lead to these ligands not knowing when to become inactive. Hence, the effect of these growth hormones would be much greater. Regardless of how the driver mutation manifests, the end result will be I will mention that it is not often a single driver mutation that will cause a persistent cancerous mutant cell. Rather, multiple proteins showing deviant behavior will end up causing a tumor to be cancerous. Caswell-Jin et al. Shows 15 different breast cancer tissues. The y-axis of this graph shows different proteins which are known suspects of being targets for driver mutations. The color panel shows the fraction of cells from each tissue which contain a driver mutation for these proteins. Blue-colored cells show a high percentage of cells within the tumor tissue that have a driver mutation which contributes to the cancer's phenotype. whereas yellow-orange shaded cells show a lower percentage of tissues containing the mutations in the protein coding genes. We overall see that there is an element of randomness here, and many tumors are showing different combinations of driver mutations which fuel their cancerous phenotypes. Let's return to my lovely cancer art. We have our tumor tissue forming, as shown by the cells highlighted in green. One of the cancerous cells accumulates a new driver mutation. The new mutation could exacerbate the current driver mutation's phenotype or be completely new. Another mutation occurs, as shown by the cell highlighted in pink, and this could lead to a new colony of slightly different cancerous cells. You get the picture. Different spatial regions of this cancerous tissue show different genetic roots, and this is what we call tumor heterogeneity. Cooper's et al. Gives a lovely cartoon image of how this looks.
So next time someone says there's a cure for cancer and the government or the Illuminati are hiding it, tell them about tumor evolution. If you enjoyed this, check out these other videos for more science.